everyone. My name is Valerie Waswa. I am a young person like you. I am a lawyer by profession and a women's rights activist. And I am the co-founder of Village Pillars Empowerment Project. And my main role is program director. So this is one of our many projects which I know Nelson has told you about. It's called She Goes Digital, which seeks to empower adolescent girls and young women with skills that they can use, digital skills, to earn an income online and just to empower themselves economically. And it is a project, and the project specifically is called Project Kipepeo Academy, which is in partnership with IDEO.org. So today, as is our common tradition, every Friday we always have Friday talks, where we just get to talk about things that affect us. Sometimes tunongelea about relationships, or relationships, tunongelea about contraceptives, sex. Sometimes we talk about money, business, and so today we are talking about periods. Sawa. Everyone hapa huwa ananyesha, which I don't like to use. I just like to call it how it is. Everyone here menstruates. And so we want to normalize these conversations because it's something that even amongst us, we talk about it with a lot of aibu. Have you ever realized it's even more embarrassing to talk about periods than sex? Sex is like, sex. But when it comes to periods, it's like, And so we want to normalize these conversations more and more. So I would like us to start here. There's this thing called, I've forgotten the word, when you use a code to call something because it's a taboo. So I will start. For example, us, growing up in my primary school, we used to call it rolling. So if someone is in a bad mood, manze bana, najua leo siwezi swim, manze na roll. So if someone just says rolling, it's period. So I would like you to just raise your hand and say, what code do you use to call menstruation? Mimi nimesema yetu ilikuwa rolling. Anyone at the back? Aki, let us be. Aki, msiku ya boring hivyo. Hebu tuchangamke. Uko nyuma kunyesha, pose kunyesha. Mashiro, Another one. Kudonate. Haya, yes guys, ingia. Wow, kudonate ingine. Hey, your name please? Amina. I would really like to know from the perspective of the Muslim community. I know it is even more taboo, right? I understand, for example, in that time of the month, some people say that time of the month, it's not right to go to the mosque, if I'm not wrong, because it's not right. Maybe you can just remove your mask, it's okay, so that you can see your beautiful face and hear what you're saying.
When you're in that state, you're not allowed to go to the mosque.
You're not allowed to go to the mosque. Reason being?
Because you are not clean.
And among you, I'm sure most of your friends are Muslim by the virtue of you being Muslim. How do you guys call it? If you want to say, I'm having periods, I'm sure you don't go saying, I'm having periods. So how do you call it? Let's say you're telling your friend, Aki leo siwezi kuja, I'm having cramps, I'm having periods. So what unasema vipi? Unasema hivyo. Okay, so for those who are joining us, we are just trying to say what are some of the code names that you use to say that you're having periods. There's a word for it which I've forgotten, where you use a code name to call something because it's a taboo to talk about it. So someone amesema mashiro, I said rolling, someone has said kudonate, that time of the month, kunyesha. So what are some other words? Two more names and then we can go on. Anyone else? Please be interactive, make it fun. Yes? Attend. Niko na attend. Sindio? The final one. I feel like this lady in maroon has a name. Tell us. Maroon. Yeah. Her head's maroon. Kunyesha. Okay. Another thing. I want to ask another question. So here you just respond by raising your hand. Don't feel shy, don't feel intimidated or anything. Raise your hand if you've ever been embarrassed while going to buy pads, especially if the shop attendant is male. Just raise your hand. Don't look at anyone. Me, I'm raising. I've ever gone back kwa duka, kwa home, because the person was a guy. I just went back. Raise your hand if you've ever been ashamed of purchasing a pad because the shop attendant is male. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to ask is raise your hand if you, for those who have fathers or a brother. Let me say your father. Let's start with father, brother, boyfriend, right? Raise your hand if you can send your father. Let's start with father. If you can send your father to buy you pads, like, dad, nimesahau ni buy a pad. Raise your hand. Me, I can't. Raise your hand if you can't tell your dad, hey dad, you need a pad. Okay, another one. Raise your hand if you can tell your brother, hey bro, nani nilete pads ukikuja kutoka supermarket. Because me, I can't. Raise your hand if you can't tell your brother ati buy for me pads. Others hawajainua popote. If you can't, you hamna, okay. Cousin, you can't tell, okay. Raise your hand if you can tell your boyfriend to buy you a pad. Najua ni kila mtu. That's your sex partner. Okay, raise your hand. There are still people who can't. So raise your hand if you can't tell your boyfriend or your husband to buy you a pad. Don't be shy. There are people who still can't. Like that person has seen you literally naked, but when it comes to pads, that's when you draw the line. Okay, next thing. I want us to be interactive. Sawa. The next question is, this is with regards to sex. If you've not had sex before, just raise your hand. Imagine yourself if you'll be in that position. Sawa. Raise your hand if you can have sex while on your period. Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you can confidently have sex in your period. For me, I can't. So I'm being honest. Raise your hand if you can't have sex on your period. Even if the guy is okay, you're like, you can't. Let's ask Dennis. So you just voice your name because you're the one behind the camera. Can you purchase a pad for your sister?
Yes, I can.
Can you teach, if you had a daughter, can you teach her about menstruation and how to use a pad?
I've never been taught, but
let's say you have the information.
If I have the information, why not?
Would you be comfortable?
Yes.
Let's just be honest.
Yes. It's my daughter. Yeah.
I know, don't speak for
yeah, don't speak for me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Let's ask another question. Would you be okay having sex with your sex partner if she is on her period?
No.
No.
Unless
Would
otherwise.
you buy pads for your girlfriend?
Of course, yes.
Okay. Do you, okay, the next question, let's just ask these girls, they want to ask you questions about menstruation from a male perspective. So I want us to ask him 5 questions, and I'll start. What goes in the mind of men when they hear the word menstruation, when you guys mention menstruation, talk about menstruation about women, what is the conversation usually about? Because I've had people who say, women wakona ati usiende kwa ofisi na receptionist kama ako kwa hizo siku zake because they'll have attitude, So I'd just like to know, what goes around the mind of men when they hear the word menstruation. How do you guys talk about it? In what light?
So there are many angles we can talk about it. Number one, tunaweza sema the PMS. So it's that time of the month for some men to avoid
Having sex.
not even having sex. Avoid women, just be careful of how you interact with her. So unakuwa too very careful. Number two, others may be like it's that time where I need to take care of my woman. Depending, because kuna wenye watatoroka ama they don't want to interact so much because wanasema at this time of the month ni kubaya. Ama kuna wengine okay, they are so close to their wives ama to their girlfriends, that time wenye ataenda mwingilie vitu mzuri,
chocolate, ice cream,
nini, ama usually another angle maybe we might talk about it. Let's say mtu anaonyesha then you'll be like just pose a question. Kama uko nayo I'll answer.
Okay. So we want to ask him 3 questions. So any question that you want to ask about periods from a male perspective, so just ask. He'll answer 3 questions, and then we continue the conversation. So one person at the back, one person here, and one person in this table. So tunaanza hapa. A question. Yeah. Or anyone who's ready to start. Yes. Let me come.
Oh, I want to ask about the male perspective. Tukisema tunamwona cramps na tutaki kufanya kila kitu. Mnaonanga tuna exaggerate or you understand?
Nice question. Nice question actually.
Okay, there kuna different angles.
Talk about you.
About me.
You as a person. Yeah. You
Me.
can't talk for everyone.
Sasa sijakuwa na that person nikajua okay. Sawa. Okay, sijaishi na mtu like
Mwenye ako na cramps kabisa.
ati tukaishi tukakaa naye. But for me, maybe the time I was dating, maybe my girlfriend angekuwa na cramps such that even angemeza sijui angeniambia angenituma niaje nikuje na dawa inaitwa Better Pill. Ni Bascopat. But
There are many.
Nyingine inaitwa Better Pill. Atanituma nimlete. Okay, yeye kwa perspective yake angeniambia niaje I'm feeling kinda like this, ama mngemuona tu amelala chini aseme nimeshindwa. So mimi ningemsaidia penye naweza.
What kind of support?
Angeniambia
You rub his
alikuwa na
back.
this kachupa ya inaitwaje, the thermos one,
Hot water.
the hot water inakwanga in rubber. So ningechemsha maji ni fill, then niambie ni press somewhere around here,
The abdomen.
Yeah. And then maybe I could do a foot rub saa zingine.
Clap for him. That's the right. It's normal. It's not like it's that's what they should be doing.
So
in that
I think
position.
even the will interact, but from maybe stories, kuna mwingine anasema like, hey, you're just a drama queen. You're just a drama queen. Una exaggerate ati utaki just anything small hata tuwezi pika, of which I understand kuna kwanga na like I've also have female friends like at that time of the month or something haizi taka kukula something ama something ina put off. So kama wewe ni best yako unajua tu like in case tu atakwambia tu atakupea signal, sikusikia mkisema Red Sea.
Red Sea is another one.
Yeah, that's another. I'm just scared.
Hata mimi ndo nasikia sai. But there are many, so
there are
yeah.
many, yeah. So you know maybe one of my friends niko Red Sea, so be careful. Usi hapo anapenda kama harufu ya kitunguu something. So but they say kama harufu ya kitunguu ni ati kuna wengine mkikuwa na ball and stuff you're not supposed to kusikia harufu ya kitunguu. Sijui kama nimejibu question yako sasa.
One more question. Okay.
Pauline?
Someone has a question? Oh. Yes. Ask Susan, ask.
But there's some girls who don't believe in contraceptives. Wanatumianga safe days. Safe days.
Yes.
So their men, ile time una attend, si ndio? Unaambia na attend 2 weeks lakini anaona una exaggerate 2 weeks is too much because unatumia ile ya the natural ways of.
Also, you're trying to avoid
the cycle bead. So wanadhani maybe you're trying to avoid sex. So my question is, what is your perspective on the safe days in accordance to different menstruation periods zenye mademo kunazo? Because people when you wanna attend 2 days, 3, 1 week, 2 weeks.
I think you ina depend between you and your partner. In that your partner that is if you are using the safe days. So asemanga kuna wenye wanakuanga na the irregular periods. So I'm expecting kama partners ajue tu your calendar ama pia unamguide. So si expect mtu kimwambia like okay nasikia I saw a meme think yesterday about Kenyan men ati unanyesha then swali atakuuliza unamaliza nini lini.
Yeah.
So I think ina depend tu wewe na partner wako venye mko. Sioni kwamba kama yeye haelewi maybe sasa hiyo ndio issue. I think it all depends between you and your partner unless you are having multiple partners mwenye ama it's not your boyfriend. But if it's your boyfriend, I expect him to understand ama ajue cycle. Unless maybe kitu kama umetumia the watu wanasemanga ukitumia kama the kina P2s zinaharibu the cycle, maybe hapo utamwambia ni aje. So unasema ikitumika the cycle can ina nini unaweza kuchelewa kunyesha by even 5 days or even a week kama 7 days. So it's possible. So unasema kama hiyo time ama So kama okay, it's normally mnatumianga the 5 days, maybe unanyesha 5 days then you use the safe days, but this time unaona like unamwambia ni aje haikuji na yeye anakuambia aje na I'm expecting ikuwe inakuja, so anataka maybe at that time so maybe tukae maybe understand. Si expect kama ni boyfriend yako na expect to understand.
I think even if it's not your boyfriend, because as long as even if you guys are just sex partners and it's consensual, right? I think you guys he should understand. He should understand that, sometimes mwili hu change. Hormones change in climate, change in environment, make sometimes inakwanga 5 days, unapata siku hizi ni 8 days, 10 days, sometimes even the food you eat, or if you're stressed, or those kind of things. So I think bottom line too, it's that they should understand, because you're trying to not get pregnant. So yeah, I think that's it. So another question I'm going to ask you is, so it's about your stories and your journeys, right? The next question I want to ask is, how was your experience getting your period for the first time? Was it at home? Did you reach out to someone to help you? Were you told? Okay, let's do it in a question kind of form. So raise your hands if before you had your period, someone taught you, whether it's in school or your parents or your big sister taught you how to use a pad, ama menstruation hii. Raise your hands if you were taught before. Just raise it like very properly. You are taught. Okay. So raise your hand if that person who taught you was a close relative, sister, mother, dad, brother, a close relative. Raise your hand. So okay, raise your hand if the person who taught you was just a friend or school. Wow. So what this is showing is that a lot of this information we are not taught by those closest to us. And personally, I would say even our parents, our siblings, older siblings, for those who have, are embarrassed about periods. Do you guys think that way? Who can freely talk here about periods with their mom? Just even their mom, like freely. Okay. So the next question I'm going to ask is not a question. I just like us to share our own experiences. How was it the first time you started? Because this information, we want to use it, you know, when designing this, something we are also doing with idol.org, where we're trying to see how can we support adolescent girls and young women so that they can get enough information, and also the young men, right? Because this is not just something that only women should know. How can they get the information before, you know, they start? So like somewhere between like 8 years to 11 years. So I would like someone just volunteer to tell us, how was it? Like, ulikuwa shule, did it stain before you know? So I would like someone else apart from Susan. Let us interact. Let us just be free with each other. So if you, I'm not going to say that you're starting here or here. Anyone who wants to share their experience the first time they started. Someone please, let's save on time. Anyone? Yes, Maureen?
For me it was like weird.
It was weird.
In our school, I was the only one.
Was it primary or high
Not
school?
experienced. Then
Was it primary or high school?
primary
It was in primary school.
closet,
Uh-huh.
and everyone was
Alikuwa shaanza kunyesha.
and I was odd one
Mm.
at class. So like by the time I started, I found it normal.
You felt normal because you had seen enough. So was it like in the morning, ukiamuka, or when you went to the toilet and then you saw, oh, or like how was it? Like how was it actually? As in, was it? Did you realize it after you saw a stain in your dress, or did you just realize it when you're in the toilet, or like how did you now know? Oh, okay. You don't remember? Okay, so before that, when you started, ulikuwa umeshajua like how to use a pad and all that? You had known. Okay. Any other experience? Maybe an experience different to that? Yes.
Okay, according to me,
Unza.
I was in school from one, and like it felt weird. Such like I didn't know if everyone was going through what I was going anyway, because it was just theory we were taught in primary, back in primary
Science.
Yeah, we were taught how to use a pad, and now science class 6, and then there was also a lesson class 8. We were taught that. So I didn't know if everyone was going through what I was going through, and I had stomach cramps. Like, I felt weird, I felt different, I was different from others.
And when it started, because for one, I'm sure most people usually start earlier, like in primary. So like, ulikuwa unajua, did you have the information, practical information, like how to use a pad, or now you had to now start learning?
No, we were taught how to use a pad in class 6, and then when we were in class 8, there was that. Yes, there was an organization that came in our school. They were teaching girls how to use it, and they were demonstrating. So I knew it, but I didn't didn't know the practical
the
dynamics.
practicality. So did you have like a challenge, like figuring it out? No, just on that way. Okay. I would like someone to share the experience, someone who started really late, because I know friends who started in Form 4 or like after Form 4, you know. So I would like someone who started, let's say at the age of 16, 17. If there's anyone who would like to share that experience, is there anyone here who started like really late? Yes.
It was no.
But when was that? Form 2. How old were you then? 16. But you had the knowledge before. And was it like a mixed school, high school, or was it?
It was a
girls?
mixed school, but we had the boys, they had their own classes, and girls,
And girls
also
their own
had
classes.
because it was a Muslim school.
Oh, okay. That's nice. So I'd like to share my experience. I've shared this story so many times, but that is one of the things that actually inspired me to do all these things that I'm doing. So for me, I think my experience is similar to Maureen's experience. That was back in class 8. Entertainment in school. I prayed. I was like, oh God, maybe if I just had my period, people would stop bullying me, you know. So I really wanted to have my period. That was in class 7 when I was being bullied. It didn't come. So it came in class 8, and I was the last person to start my period. I don't know. Everyone would know. It was like public information. You said, it's like now you feel your name in the Hall of Fame. So I was the last person to start period in both streams, and I was so excited. But before that, I am the firstborn in our home, and so I didn't have any older sibling to tell me, oh, this is how you do it. My mom never also told me, I think this is how you do it, you know. I think she was just embarrassed or something. And our school was a private school, so I think organizations usually go to public schools because they assume, I don't know, they always assume maybe because you're in a private school, munajuanga, right? So even us as an organization, when we want to go and share information about how to use a pad, I don't know why there's always this conception that let's go to a public school. And so you get that many people who are in private schools also hawajui, and you get that even most of these children have lesser time, you know, with their parents. So there was never NGOs coming to our schools, never. So as in, I didn't know shit. And okay, sorry. And and class 6 was in another school. And class 8, I started before we had started learning that reproductive part. So I didn't know shit. I didn't know anything. So I remember when I started, I was so excited. For me, I started. I felt like peeing. Usually you feel like peeing. So when you go and you wipe yourself, and you're like, oh, okay, cool, I've started. So this was just your normal vaginal discharge. So I remember calling my mom using our matron's phone number, our phone. And I was like, Mom, I'm so excited. I've started my period. And my mom was so embarrassed. My mom was so embarrassed. She was like, you know, we were talking over the phone, but I could see her being stiff, being uncomfortable. She was like, it's like you're not supposed to be telling me that. So it just ended like that. And remember, I'm in an environment where people are I'm just being bullied. And I didn't know, literally, as in I didn't know anything. So I remember I had to reach out to some girls who are in my queue. And I asked them, like, guys, please show me how to use a pad. And but they're like, how can you not know? You know, how can you not be knowing how to use a pad? So I just had to figure it out, you know? So me nikasema tu, okay, so I saw a pad and it's okay. So kahini wing na hini can't. Probably you should do it this way and this way. But because I didn't know, one day when I was out for games, it leaked on my dress. And our dress was really light gray. So like ilionekana. And so instead of people coming and telling me, hey Val, Junini, or even putting a sweater over me, they started again using that to bully me. So everyone was laughing. Right now I'm saying it like this, but it was really hard, a hard time for me. So I think one of the girls in Kakamega County, after people laughed because the school compound, the school like playground was so big. So So nakumbuka like so many people were in that school, those nursery all the way to high school. Everyone was just there and everyone had told me. So by the time ananiambia, everyone knew. So I went to the dorm, I cleaned myself. Then we would clean, then go back to class and wait for lunch. It was a boarding school. Wait for supper. And I was in class and everyone is laughing, especially the boys. They were pointing at me and they're like, ha, look at these girls, nini. As in, I was just, it was so much I just decided to block my nose. But I remember people were really laughing at me. It was so embarrassing. It was so embarrassing. And you know, I didn't go I didn't eat meals for the next 3 days. I didn't want to meet anyone. I was so ashamed. So that day supper ilikuwa pilau. You know those days in school when you look forward to the best meal of the week. We're eating pilau. I didn't go. The next day, I think it was like a Thursday. We took pilau on Thursday. The whole of Friday I didn't eat. The whole of Saturday I didn't eat. On Sunday I almost collapsed kwa bafu. That's when I almost fell kwa bafu. That's when one of my friends were like, "Hey Val, you need to eat." So I was like, I think by now watu ile kunicheka imeisha. That's when I started seeing people. So that is how bad it was for me. And so I made sure I have to learn how to use a pad. And no one showed me. And I know that there are many of us who maybe have had such experiences. So which begs the next question. I would like to know, who has ever been in a situation where you soiled your dress, your trouser, whatever, in public? As in, let's not be shy because I've broken the ground, I've shared my story. I'm not embarrassed about it because I didn't know, and even if I knew, it's normal. So zingine huwa ina leak too, right? Sometimes the pad is just faulty. Sometimes maybe una dance, unaruka, in a leak or whatever. So I would like to know how many here who has ever soiled their dress like in public? I just want to know, how did people react around you? So maybe we can start here. How was it? How did you feel?
It was my first time I was in class 8 and tulikuwa tunakaa kwa desk hivi watu wawili. I had my desk mate was there. Alafu hapa nyuma kulikuwa na boys walikuwa wanakaa. So it was my first time. So vile nilisimama nilikuwa naenda kwa huku mbele kwa besti yangu pia msichana. And huyu mvulana nyuma yangu like, umeacha 50 bob yako kwa desk wewe. And I was like, oh goodness. Nikachukua sweta nikajifunga.
50 bob.
Yani anaongelelea.
So how did you know that 50 bob meant, oh, it was on the desk?
Desk. So vile nilisimama, sasa akasema kila mtu akasikia. So and I was like, oh goodness, nikaangalia nikapata. Na hata sikuwa najua cramps inauma aje, but nilikuwa na feel something. And I was like, oh goodness, imekuja. I was also longing for it to come because in our class pia the only one that knew me. So nikajifunga hivi sweta, alafu nikakimbia kwa huyo besti yangu mwenye nilifaa kwenda kwake. Ndio nikamwambia, akaniambia uongo, hebu twende nje nione. And she was confident. Ndio akanipeleka dorm pia. Sasa sikuwa hata na pad, akaniwekea. Sasa hapo ndio nikaona
that was a good friend. Let's clap for her friend in adventure. That's really nice. Have you guys heard a story of someone, a girl in somewhere in Rift Valley who killed herself because the class teacher embarrassed her in front of everyone because she had soiled her dress? And the reason why she soiled her dress was because she didn't have any extra pad remaining. You know, she came from a very humble background, and I'm sure you people know of such people. Like, mutu masota hadi wezi afford pad. And she said that thing just hurts me, it hurts me so much. As in, that teacher should be behind bars right now. But anyway, so she killed herself because the embarrassment, you know, kuna venye you want to belong among your classmates, your age, especially your age, your class 6, 7, 8. Adolescence imeanza, you know, kuna hizo macliques, manini. She killed herself. So this is something that I really want us to normalize. And I know maybe even some of us here have been among those who laughed at other people because they soiled their dress. I hope that you can stop that. I hope that when you have smaller sisters, your neighbor, your whatever, even your brothers, your sisters, your smaller cousins, nephews, and especially it's the boys who embarrass, you know. I hope that we can always share this information and tell them that There is nothing. They say period blood is the only blood that comes out of no violence. Damu ingine, for it to come out, you need to harm yourself, cut yourself. But period is just the blood, and it just a proof of you're not pregnant. And yet people really make it to look like it's such a bad thing. And so when we have such conversations, we normalize them, so that when you see someone who has sold that, even if it's a stranger, that's why I always say you should always have a kikoi in your bag. Even if you're a guy, just have a pad in your bag, have a kikoi. When you see someone across the street, you go, you flicker them, and you help them, because you don't know how you have even saved a life. So there's someone here who also wanted to share their story. Who was it? Yes, tell us. How was it? Maybe you can speak up. When was that?
Class 7. Kwa wedding, and then dressing code ilikuwanga white. Dressing code ya. So tulikuwa tumedress white sote. Sikuwa najua kama tutakuja hiyo time. Sikuwa nime-expect. Nilikuwa na-expect zikuja like 2 weeks. So siku-expect na sikuwa nimekaria hii pad. It's a wedding. Zikana pad kwa wedding anyway. So
and you know, it's usually irregular the first times ukianza. Hadi at 1 year, 2 years ilikuwa normal.
Yeah. So sikuwa nime-expect. So nimekaa tu hivi kusimama mbele, sasa tunapata zile vitu za wedding zimekuwa wrapped na white. Yeah. So kuamka tu hivi napata like the mess, red kila mahali, na ni wedding watu wamenisurround. So ilibidi nimekaa tu hapo mpaka watu wakaamka wakaenda kuserve, ndo nikaamka. So embarrassing.
Did you get help? Did people help you? Anything?
Yeah. Nilikuwa meso, nikajifunga, nikaenda washroom, nika-change, nikapoa pad, so nikavaa.
How did you feel the rest of the day being a lady?
Nilikuwa tu moody, nilikuwa
Yes, there's someone also at the back. Becky, how was your experience?
According to studying my degree, it was a shame because I was in class 7. And then when we were on the 5th day, ikaanguka.
The pad?
Yeah, that was ikaanguka. Sasa hapo tuko tu public tunacheza. Yeah, ilifanya nikashika kuplay. Watoto hapo wakaanza
They laughed at you.
Yeah.
Both boys and girls.
Yeah. Sasa hapo nikaenda class, nikaenda nyumbani sasa. Hapo sikupata help.
No one helped you. That's so wrong. You know, it's so wrong. It's really wrong in so many levels. You never know how, maybe some people will never have confidence, you know, in people because of that experience. Some traumas will haunt you for the rest of your life until you find therapy. So I just hope that, you know, we can, when we get to be mothers, when we interact with people, both boys and girls, even when we get sons, this is a conversation that we should teach everyone, you know, because and this is something that even us as an organization is learning. When we go to school and then we tell the teacher that he called the girls. No, this is something that in a wafunzi wote, because if these men also know the way Dennis knows or Nelson knows, they won't be embarrassed, they will help, you know. But now if they don't know, they'll be like, hey, huyu kwani damu imemtokea kwani ni nini? But once we normalize these conversations, every time, even when you are with guys, just, for me, I always say, kiniko na cramps. They usually feel like, mbona wanaambia, but I want them to know that periods is a normal thing. I'm I'm craving ice cream. I think ni periods. When I keep saying that, it becomes normal. We need to normalize. Periods is a very normal process. Everyone here is as a result of a failed period. You know? Unajuanga zile times when you're just praying, oh my God, lucky periods miss, oh my God, pregnancy, I hope see pregnancy. That's when you know how important a period is. Or when you want to get pregnancy. You know, pregnancy and period is very linked. Period shows that you are not pregnant. Pregnant shows that you failed to get a period. So everyone here in the whole world is as a result of hiyo egg ingekuwa shed as blood was fertilized by a sperm to form a child. That is how important the way we normalize we have normalized nowadays take baby bump photos. We should also normalize period. Sawa. The next part of this conversation is about period products. Period products. So I would like to know how many here of you use normal pads? Is it kama always what the ones which you use and you throw? How many use those ones? Okay. I would like to know how many of you here have ever used a tampon. Kwanza, does everyone know what a tampon is? A tampon. So how many here have ever used a tampon? How many? Okay, how many here think that using a tampon, especially if you are a virgin, will break your virginity? How many believe? Just be open, let's be honest. How many really believe that? Okay, how many believe that when you use your tampon, okay, fine, you're not a virgin, but it will make you lose? How many believe that? I used to believe that, Kitamo. How many believe that when you use a tampon, like, it will make you lose? It will make your vagina lose. Let me call a spade a spade. How many believe it? Then why? I would like to know then, why don't you use tampons? Because why? I would like to know. Maybe I would just like to know, because so many people don't use tampons here in Africa as like other countries, and yet from what I hear people say, tampons are more free. You know, you can swim in a tampon, you can dance in a tampon, you can raise your legs up in a tampon. As in, once you put it in there, like the probability of leaking is very low. All you need to put is a panty liner and you're like safe. So I would really like to know, because a tampon is something that people don't use, and you guys have not heard anyone saying, because 90% of people say, oh, I don't want to be loose. So I would like you guys to tell me, why don't you use a tampon? Maybe I think here I will get everyone's perspective, because no one uses, right? No one. So we'll start there. What do you think when you think about tampon? Why don't you think, or if you had a daughter, or you, why don't you use a tampon?
It's expensive.
It's expensive. Another, the next one. You just don't like. Why? Okay, some people say it's uncomfortable, so you can also say that. Have you tried it before? You're just like, nope, not me. Ujawai. Okay. Kwa picha, yeah, right. Would you want to try it out? Ama, do you have a reason? Ama, it's just because people around you don't use it, so you feel like it may not be safe? Yes. Mesikia leo. You see? Maureen?
Haven't seen one.
You see? And this is something that even us as an organization you're learning. Because when we go, we teach girls, we go with pads, right? And you're not giving them options as consumers. They're supposed to have a tampon, a menstrual cup, so that we show these people all these options, and then you get to choose which one you want. Because the people who have told me, since once they've taken a tampon, their life has been so easy. You know, when you have a pad, kuna veni, unafaa ukae in a certain way, ita leak, nini. Sometimes just the sight of seeing blood all the time you go to pee is a bit too much. So yes, why don't you use a tampon? Or why do you think? You've tried it before?
No.
You just don't like it?
The idea of kuingiza.
Oh, it seems not safe.
For me, I've never seen it. I've just heard about it. I don't know it.
Sorry, not safe.
Yeah.
Susan,
I don't know what to do.
you don't know. Me, let me tell you guys, because you're being candid, right? The other time I was like, you know what, I'm done. I'm so done with pads. I'm done. I don't like this smell that especially always has. Atana your scent, there's just a smell it has. I was like, you know what, I want to use tampons. And then I realized that actually around me, no one uses tampons. The people who like sort of taught me how to use a pad, or the people who are around me all use pads. Our older generation, our mothers, our sisters, they all use pads. So I was calling my friends and asking, guys, I want to use a tampon. So how do I use it? And they're like, hata sijaiona. I call another one, hata sijaisikia. I call another one. So I had to call one of the people who we do this, period campaigns with, and I was like, guys, in the WhatsApp group, I want to use a tampon. I'm a whole 20-something year old. I don't know how to use a tampon. So, as in, I need you to show me how. So they told me, and I went to try. I couldn't insert it at all. And so I felt so bad. So I went and watched YouTube videos of, people showing you how to use a tampon. And I feel like there's not enough information around it. There's a lot of taboo. People say it's not safe. There's how you insert it. When you insert it the wrong way, it is bad. When you stay with it for long, it can cause toxic shock syndrome. They also say when you go to sleep, you rather use a pad at night because your body is like subconscious, right? You may twitch, you may watch, so it may not be safe. So there are just some things that people need to know, and I think I'm now getting ideas of some of the podcast conversations we should have this information given to people, because vitu mingi, by the way, ni taboo too, at it's not safe, it's not what, but what if you just don't know, right? I would like to know who has ever heard of something called a menstrual cup. A menstrual cup. I wish we had a projector here ningeonyesha. Let me search and niwapee it goes round. Menstrual cup image. This is how it looks, yeah? This is how it looks, this is how you put it. So I want to show you guys. So just pass the phone, don't scroll, msishangae, just pass the phone and tell me if you've ever seen a menstrual cup. A menstrual cup, the material feels rubber-like, plastic-like, and it has, from the word, of course it's shaped like how your vagina is shaped, but then it sort of like collects the blood, and then okay, so once the blood is full, you pour it out and then you put it back, right? So that's basically how it works. So for some people, they feel like it's a bit too disgusting, but then when you talk about like sustainability, some of these things you use like pads. Have you ever realized that there's some companies that they make you bleed for more because that's how they make money? Have you ever known that? I'm not going to mention names of brands here for defamation, but there are companies that actually they cause you to bleed more. They cause you to bleed more. So unashanga mbona kitambo, like I used to bleed for bleeding the word really. I used to have period for like 2-3 days. Nowadays it's 6, 7, 8 days. So you get that things like menstrual cups are more safer for you because most of them are organic in nature. Yeah. So who has ever heard of this? Ever seen? Who has ever seen? So meaning one has ever, who knows someone who uses it? So there's a lot of gray area when it comes to period products, and yet there are some of these things that are, that are better. They are better options. So I'm seeing what we can do as an organization. Oh my God, time has really gone. So I would like us to end it at this point. So I would just like to end it at this point. We can't exhaust everything about periods right now. We'll bring more experts maybe in the future because we are joining our network. So we are going to have, someone here to actually demonstrate how to use a menstrual cup, and we can even provide free samples so you guys can go and try them out and that kind of thing, or tampon or whatever. So thank you guys for sharing your stories, your experiences, and I would like to end it at this point so that you can start your assessments. We are going to have a dance, okay? We're going to have a dance challenge because Fridays we have fun, and being that this is the last day of our I don't know how to call it, university edition. After this, from next year we are training high schoolers going forward. So this is like our last day, and so it's been great interacting with you guys. I want us to do a video of what you guys have learned so far, and then exactly 2 p.m. we'll start your assessments, and then we'll do our dance challenge after the assessments. See, that's okay. Thank you guys. Hata simnipigia makofi. I'm sure the nurse also